Oh, yes, we are here. We are live. And it is the season finale. That's right, the season finale of season 26, if you can believe it. And of course, if you're watching live, that means it's noon Eastern on a Wednesday. That's time for the High Noon Hemp Show, of course. If you love hemp as we do, if you want to know more about hemp, if you want to spread the word about hemp, well, go do so. Spread the word about this show. It can be found in many places, of course, video, live, and on demand. Of course, if you're on YouTube, check out the Jedi Hemp YouTube channel. If you're on Facebook, it's the Hemptations Beach Facebook page. If you're on Twitter, make sure you're following at Hemptations or X, if you still call it that. Whatever, it doesn't matter to me. Anyway, of course, Temptations.com, eBay, that's scrolling along the bottom. There's always cool information scrolling along the bottom as well that you want to check out. All of it happens right here, right now. I'm Stoner Jesus. I do various things on the interwebs that you can search if you feel like it. He is Beach. He loves hemp. He is somewhere cool and looking cool. And he's going to tell us now what's going on this week in the world of Temptations.
It's true. It's true that I'm looking cool, not that I am cool. Yes, but we're back. We're back to the Flower Factory Hemptations Studio, Planet Everywhere Studios, back from Hemptations and the Flower Factory. Season finale today. I've got a video later to show you. Good video of get you a good shot of what's going on at the Flower Factory and a little bit of Hemptations maybe. So it is true. Stoner, by the way, do you know what today is?
No, Beach. What day is it?
Hemp Day! That's right, folks. It's High Noon Hemp Show. It's High Noon Hemp Show Day, also known around the world as Hemp Day.
That's right.
But remember, the FDA has not evaluated this show for efficacy or safety. Safety or efficacy, whichever one, whatever order you want to put it in is fine with me. It's true. Trying to get me more in the middle here, so I'm not messing everybody's brain up. And for the record, let's go ahead and get our pledge out of the way, as we do every week. I pledge allegiance to the hemp fields of America and to the soil in which it is planted. One seed under the sun with responsibility, sustainability, and thrivability for all. That's right. That's going to be my superhero mantra, I suppose, if my motto, if I'm ever officially a superhero.
There you
go. Anyway, all right. Well, let's just get things started here with the product spotlight, as we do 4 from the store, 1 from my door, here on the High Noon Hemp Show. So the first one is the good old, this is a large / extra large flex fit hat. And so again, these are flex fits. They give a little. So if you got a large or extra large head, I love, because I have a small head, I love the medium large, or what they call a small medium, I think it's medium large. I don't know, but it's the smaller size, fits my head perfectly. And I love them. And this is a flex fit, which is a big brand name out there in the world of hats. So if you know anything about hats, you've probably heard of flex fit before. And this is their hemp version in black. How about some necklaces? Maybe some, whoops, wrong one. Pouches, that's right. So most of these are Vatra pouches. And are in fact made out of hemp material. These are the pouches. I know I showed some other ones, I think. These are the pouches with the pull tie. So it's got a little pressy thing and you just kind of pull it tight. So, if you want to keep your glass pipe, which is what basically these were designed for, safe, or anything kind of safe in one of those, they'll do the job. They will. All right, now let's just look kind of our necklaces and bracelets. And this is not all of them. I'm still looking, and I'm not sure where. I know I have more necklaces somewhere. But, we're still in full-time blown summer. Hemp necklaces tend to be a little bit more popular in the summer because you can show them off. And so if you're looking for a hemp necklace or a hemp bracelet, we got a pretty decent selection, and soon I'll have even more. Um, computer's blinking on me, doing something weird.
Huh.
And then the last from the product spotlight, these are dime bag clutches. And again, I'm guessing that these have a flower pouch, flower zipper pouch in there somewhere. Dime bags are known for that, multiple little pockets. But if you need yourself a little dime bag clutch, there you have it. Red or pink is your options today at Hemptations. The product spotlight here on the High Noon Hemp Show. The one from my door is one that I just kind of pulled out recently. This is my hemp shovel, my personal hemp shovel. We sell these. I do believe we do have one of these for sale in the store. I may have even showed it on the product spotlight as a product
I think so.
not too long ago, even. But this is mine. That is the one that I use when I need a shovel, for snow or whatever. Whatever it may be, there it is. There you have it. 4 from the store, 1 from my door on the High Noon Hemp Show.
Indeed.
And now,
which brings us, as always, to the single greatest segment in internet history. That's right. In all of the internet history, you can think of all the great segments that have been, none are greater than this. And yet, as we lament every week, we go unrecognized. Beach goes unrecognized by the official world record chronicler on Earth, the Guinness World Records, for all of the hemp records that Beach has set and holds, whether it's hemp products, hemp clothing, which we, of course, chronicle in the Beachwear segment coming up, all of that stuff. They just do not care. So sometimes I like to go to their Twitter and see what they do care about. And today was something quite interesting. It's a broadcasting record. Oops, wrong one. Always do that. Always do that. There he is. Nigerian broadcaster Mighty George keeps a radio talk show going for more than 4 days.
Oh,
4 days. Now, of
wow.
course, I had questions. There's obvious questions that arise. He was given a 5-minute break every hour for his bathroom needs. But from everything I've read, staying up for 4 days is a very, very bad idea. It's very bad for you.
Very, very, very bad idea. I mean, I could do 4 days straight on hemp. If I had to filibuster, I could probably do that. But it's terrible for the brain. My brain would be like, after 12 hours, my brain would be like, Beach, time to go to bed.
I can't imagine. I heard it's like 48 hours or something. Your brain starts to really hallucinate and just, go haywire. But Mighty George, good for him. Guinness cares about him and they didn't say whether or not he went nuts towards the end. There was no mention of that in the article. I'm assuming he didn't.
He retired immediately and went to the insane asylum.
What am I doing? Why am I doing this? But that's what the Guinness World Records cares about. They care nothing about what we're about to talk about, which is what we've been doing for almost 7 years now, chronicling Beach's immense record-setting, record-holding collection of hemp clothing that the Guinness World Record doesn't care about. But we'll continue to talk about it here because we do care, which brings us to the Beachwear segment. And all I have to do is ask Beach one simple question. And by magic, he tells me the answer. And you also see the answer in visual form through the magic of technology. When I ask, what are you wearing, Beach?
It's true. If you're curious, what are you wearing, Beach? Now you'll know from the High Noon Hemp Show. So on top there, that is a classic head case. We'll call it vintage officially. Homegrown. I am definitely homegrown, I guess, when it comes to my hemp. No doubt about that. That Ono t-shirt has a little, if you look closely, a little peace leaf emblem embroidered on it. My shorts are actually Nepalese, and I don't know that they actually have a product name. This may be the first time that these shorts have ever been on the High Noon Hemp Show as well. I just found these recently, and I didn't even realize that I had them. The belt holding them up is from Hempies. In my pocket there, per usual, is my Green Springs, one of my Green Springs technology pens, one of many that I carry. I have some Hemptopia boxer briefs. along with a pair of Satori Kana socks, the no-shows, kind of ankle socks, either way. And then a good old pair of Adidas shell toes, bringing it all together. So there you have it. If you were curious, what are you wearing today, Beach, when it comes to hemp clothing? Now you know. Now you know. All right. Well, here is a little video commercial kind of thing that I made for the Flower Factory. So let's go ahead and check that out, and then we'll hit the news.
That's twice now I've screwed it up. Take two. Here's the video and then the news.
The name of this song is The Wildwood Flower. Now, the Wildwood Flower is an old country classic. It's gained a whole new popularity. The song isn't any more popular, but the flower's doing real good. Now, the Wildwood Flower grew wild on the farm, and we never knowed what it was called. Some said it's a flower, and some said it's a weed. I didn't give it much thought. One day I was out there talking to my brother, and I reached down for a weed to chew on, and things got fuzzy and things got blurry, and then everything was gone. I didn't know what happened, but I knew it beat the hell out of sniffing burlap. I come to and my brother was there, and he said, "What's wrong with your eyes?" And I said, "I don't know, I was chewing on a weed." And he said, "Let me give it a try." I spent the rest of that day and most of that night trying to find my brother Bill. Caught up with him about 6 o'clock the next morning, naked and singing on the windmill. He says he flew up there, and I had to fly out and pull him down. He was about half crazy. The very next day we picked a bunch of them weeds and we put them in the sun to dry. And then we mashed them up after we cleaned them off, and we put them in the corncob pipe. Smoking them wildwood flowers got to be a habit, but we never seed the harm. We thought it was kinda handy to take a trip and never leave the barn. Big old puff of that wildwood weed, next thing you know, you're just wandering around behind the little animals. All good things must come to an end. That's the same with the wildwood weed. One day this feller from Washington come by and spied him and turned white as a sheet.
Wow.
There you have it. There you have it. If you have grow needs, the Flower Factory is your place. If you have hemp needs, Hemptations is your place. Together. I like to say it's the Flower Factory with Hemptations inside. It's a new... Now, with Hemptations inside. All right. Well, Texas wasted zero time. They finally got back to a quorum, which if you're following the Texas politics, the Democrats ran out of the state. It was not because they were proposing a THC ban again, but when they immediately got a quorum, they did, in fact, pass in the first round of doing their thing, pass unanimously another THC ban. This after, once again, the governor vetoed the last one. He's going to veto this one because, again, bans don't work. They just don't work. This is one of the big... Well, thank you for watching for the first time. We love first-time viewers. Welcome to the High Noon Hemp Show. And so... we'll see what happens with this, but the ban is a terrible idea. I don't know why they didn't come back with regulations, but they didn't. So we'll keep things going, and they're going to keep things going in Texas, of course. So finally, there are voices in Florida, including the Florida agricultural regulators, okay, that want some clarity because no one really knows what this kids-free packaging ban is. We do know that in the state of Florida, they have confiscated over 200,000 packages of industrial hemp products, all because they look like they would be attractive to kids. You know, and I've been saying this for months. It's like, who decides? Why? I mean, again, that's, you could say any bright color, it's just so endless how you could say it. And again, I don't know how any hemp business is staying in business, because apparently they're seizing everything. It just, you know, and I said this months ago too. I said, I warned everybody in Florida, I said, just start putting everything in a brown bag. Just put it in a brown bag. If they come in and they see a brown bag, they don't even know what's in the brown bag. You know, you have to make people then ask for products or to see products. But if that's really, I mean, that sounds like what you really have to do in Florida. I mean, the Florida Ag Commission, they want to know what the definition of a cartoon is. I mean, any avatar, if I took my image, made it into an avatar, put it on a package of Hemptations brand CBD, they could conceivably say that's a cartoon. And so again, a picture of a piece of fruit on a package could be construed as a cartoon. Again, because I have a communications degree. In my brain, okay, cartoon animation just means anything that's animated or drawn. Cartoons are all drawn, not now anymore. Obviously, they're probably digitally produced, but back in my day, okay, all cartoons were drawn. So does that mean anything drawn is a cartoon? Again, and so it's such a weird thing and I cannot believe it's being tolerated. I cannot believe over 200,000 packages of products that were not going to be sold to kids. I want to clarify, okay, they didn't take those 200,000 packages of hemp out of the hands of kids. They didn't save 200,000 kids or whatever. What they did was they took those out of the hands of adults that used them from being sold from adults. Okay? It's anti-consumerism at its best. I mean, sugar is terrible for us. All cereal, the more sugar in it, the more cartoony the box is. It's like you're telling us, yes, kids shouldn't have this stuff. I'm in total agreement with that. I've always been in agreement that if you want to do something for the kids, then put age restrictions on it, card people, and that's it. Make them adults to purchase. Make them adults to purchase. Not take the stuff off the shelves from the adults that want to purchase it, because a kid may come into the store and possibly be attracted to it. I mean, for one, what kid's wandering in hemp stores to begin with? I just wonder, honestly. I mean, is your kid out running the streets going into the hemp stores? I don't know. Are those kids with adults? Because if they are, then once again, it's up to that adult to say, that's not for you. That's an adult product, like beer or cigarettes or any of those other adult products that we try to keep out of the hands of our children. And the worst thing of it all is nobody has proven that these products are unsafe for kids to begin with. I'm not saying they are. I'm not saying kids should do this. I just had this discussion with someone, and I do believe that we should concentrate on all of the things that we give children when their brains are developing. But what do we give them? What do parents give them every day that we don't know if it's caffeine, sugar, all these things in processed food that I believe, and again, it just seems like they go on their beliefs, not actual medical science. I believe that is super unsafe for children. Those products go regulated every day, and their brains are developing, and we give them to them. And there are many other things that we probably give our children, not me, unhealthy, or parents that are really unsafe, and we need to go after, and we should lock them all up. No, I don't believe that. I'm just kidding. But the fact that they're taking these products off the shelf that are only being sold to adults anyway because they're attracted to kids, and the fact that they allow all the crap on the shelves that kids consume every day while their brains are being developed, that to me can't possibly be healthy. As much as I felt like I was a shuttered child, we did not have caffeinated drinks in our house. We did not have a lot of sugar in our house. We ate grape nuts, and when I got a box of Tricks or something, I must have like just brought home my report card and I had all A's because it was a treat. It wasn't something that I had even remotely on a daily basis. Again, if we had Coca-Cola in the house, it was because maybe we were having people over. And if I was lucky, I got some of that Coca-Cola that was left. Maybe I got some. And so, again, I felt out of place around a lot of kids that had those things on a daily basis. But looking back, I mean, it was much better for my development, I do believe, as it is everything we should focus on in child's development. Again, they keep telling us about all these bad things that we don't even know for sure. Whether it's unsafe for the children to consume these things. I'm not, obviously, gummies are something totally different than smoking. We're in a different world when it comes to ingesting THC. And so, I believe that these things could be beneficial to people of all ages. It just depends on what ailments or what might be, harming them. It's a natural substance. So, caffeine is a natural substance. I'm not saying it isn't. Sugar is a natural substance. I'm not saying it isn't. But there's a lot of proof. Even dairy. Everybody thinks dairy is great, but it's not. It's not great for the human body, and it's not great for the development of a child's body. We drank water for millions of years, or for 5,000 years, if that's your beliefs. Okay? Whatever your beliefs are. For however long humans have been around, we basically drank water. And then that turned into beer. And beer became a healthier drink and highly nutritional back in the day when it was, but also because it was actually, I think, a cleaner option. Once we started to dirty up the waters, and that was becoming more unhealthy for us to drink, we actually switched to alcohol because it stayed, it was cleaner, I suppose. Wine, beer, all those things. But I drink coffee. I do drink coffee, which I have done the research, and coffee has unbelievable health benefits. Unbelievable. 3 to 4 cups a day has an unbelievable amount of, and this was all based on a study of like 100,000 participants, Scientific American, and so, or at least that's where I read about the study that involved how healthy coffee is for you. Coffee is 95% water, 90%, it's mostly water. And then when I stop drinking coffee, I drink water. That's it. On occasion, I treat myself to some lemonade mix or maybe some grape drink mix, but most of the time, 90% of the time, it's just water. So, if we're really concerned about the health of our children, there's a lot further that we can go than pulling off products that look like they are attractive for children that would never have been sold to children. Never. Maybe on a rare occasion, some hemp store person may have sold some hemp gummies to a kid. But for the most part, and again, age restrictions, and then go bust those shops just like you would if they sold beer to minors or cigarette to minors or whatever to minors that isn't supposed to be sold to minors. not to fucking go in the store and grab the products off the shelf from the retailer that had to pay for those and was going to sell those to adults because adults used them. And now they've lost that revenue because of a judgment call on a package. Florida, come on, man. It's just so ridiculous. It's just still so ridiculous. New Mexico has put a ban on manufacturing synthetic hemp. That will probably hold. Most of the bans that I have seen in most of the states on synthetics, people tend not to challenge for whatever reason. So, we'll see how far that goes. Georgia, which just went, and I believe it's a drink thing in Georgia, they are now getting sued. And if that makes all the sense. And I do believe we'll probably see, I don't want to predict for sure, that this ban may get turned over because of anti-consumerism laws or consumerism laws. And consumerism laws, which is usually in cases like this, are the ones that are argued because consumerism laws say, if I can buy this product in this form, I should be able to buy it in all forms. And so if you can get whatever it is in those drinks that they've banned in gummy form or vape form or some other form, and you can because it's all extracted from THC, and they didn't ban THC; they just banned the drinks. I'm pretty sure, and I might have to double check that. Then you can't say you can't have it in drink form. So if you can have it in other forms, you can't say, well, you can't have it in drink forms. So we'll see how that goes in court, but I do believe that one will have a very, very good challenge and has, prior court cases as precedents that say that very thing. The federal farm bill says that you can have hemp in any form, okay, no matter what form it is. And if your state has legalized hemp, then they can't start picking and choosing what hemp is legal and what hemp isn't legal. So I look forward to hopefully that going well in Georgia and that gets overturned, and that will be yet another precedent in the country saying you cannot ban this stuff. Don't ban this. Do not try to ban anything. All right? Age restrictions, product placement. That's what every state, that's all they need to do. And when I say product placement, I mean it's behind the counter. It's in a case. You can't just walk in and pick it up and hold it. You have to go over and you have to talk to the employee to even look at or touch the products. Not maybe look at it or whatever. Look at it is one thing, and so if you're in a state that's trying to do anything else than that, good morning, or I should say, high noon. And so, that's the way every state should look at it. You can't, bans just don't work. They don't work. Even if the ban goes through in Texas and the governor signs it, it'll be most likely that it will be challenged. Again, from my understanding, Arkansas right now is the only state that's put a ban on these products that's been supported. And I think that it's not that it's being supported. I think that it's really just not being challenged. I just don't think there's enough hemp industry in Arkansas to matter. In Texas, you're talking 9,000 stores. 9,000 stores. So, that's the difference between Arkansas's ban holding up. Salute. And Texas's ban will never hold up. It just won't if they are successful in passing one and the governor signs it, which he's not going to do. You gotta understand, he's already not signed one. Why is he going to sign this one? It's just so dumb. Texas regulators are really ignorant. Again, it's just like you're just wasting time. And if you would just put that time in the right place, again, age restrictions, product placement, that's it. That's all you need. Again, if you need to go brown bag, you can follow Florida's suit and put some, packaging restrictions on what the package looks like. And then again, I recommend everyone in Texas just make their products look like a brown bag. But the ban things it's just not going to work. So the agricultural spending bill that was going to ban THCA in a year, and that's been already taken out. Okay, it did also include a $500,000 grant that apparently Minnesota is claiming or got for industrial hemp. So a spending bill that included $500,000 for an industrial hemp bill also had a ban on industrial hemp in it. And of course, this is why Mitch McConnell and Rand Paul are fighting down in Kentucky, because Rand Paul came out and said, "I'm not ever going to support this," and so they took that ban out of there. Once again, prohibition does not work. It's never worked. It hasn't worked for 90 years, and it's not working now. So why do you want going backwards with prohibition? Regulate these things. If you have a concern with them in your state, banning them is not the solution. Once again, every state that bans this. So here's what happened in Arkansas. Not enough people really cared because the people in Arkansas just went online and went tappity, 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 tap and waited for the mailman. Okay? And so guess what you've done, Arkansas? You've taken that money out of the hands of your local retailers and the tax money, and you've given it to some dude in California or Colorado or wherever that ships to any state. Under federal laws, you can ship these products to any state. And even if you ship them to a state where they are illegal, because it's legal federally, the state can only hold the person that receives them liable. And so, once again, you're in a state that bans hemp products. It's a click away. It's a click away to anyone. You just go online and Google THCA flower, Google THC vapes, Google any of that. And there'll be 100 places
At least.
that will take your word for the fact that you're 21 when you click that little button to go into their website and sell you any of these products and ship them to your door because they are federally legal to ship over state line. And once again, it's the responsibility of the person in the state. If you take those products out and they're banned in that state, then they could arrest you possibly for having them. But they can't go after the person that sold them to you in another state that shipped them to you. So, it's just ridiculous once again to ban this stuff because it's available to be shipped to your house from anywhere for the most part. But good for Minnesota for claiming this 500,000. A lot of hemp was grown in Minnesota back in the day. And, that, once again, that kind of northern latitude, that's better for the fiber. So I hope, and I assume that it's not going to be for CBD growing. I hope that they take this $500,000 and they invest it in fiber and grain. And this is, again, could totally blow away, the farming industry in Minnesota. And I really feel like that's one of the only things they really have in Minnesota could be potential farming. So, well, good for them. Good for them. I hope there's more money for other states to claim. I don't know what else is in there, but I would assume that's probably it. And I don't know if Minnesota's claiming it all, or they were the first ones, or was in the bill that they got. I don't. But it's for innovations in industrial hemp, and good for Minnesota. It's a smart move. Again, to put it towards it was more and more fiber going to be needed. Grain, really, the grain industry should be endless. We should be promoting an endless grain industry because the health benefits of the seed are unbelievable. And the fact that if we ever got to a point that we had so much excess seed oil, you can run a diesel engine on it too if you want. I'm just saying. And so many other things. I don't know what the synthetic options are for making products out of hemp oil. All right. Synthetic is going to take a whole new positive turn in things. Because now the word synthetic has a kind of a negative connotation. That's why people look at Delta 8 as synthetic. Oh my God, it's synthetic. That's terrible. Well, synthetic really just means taking one thing and making it into another. Okay? And so when you can take oil from the ground and make it into fiber for clothing, I just would assume that you can take hemp oil from a seed, sustainable, and make it into fiber synthetically. Delta 8 is made synthetically, but it's industrial hemp synthetically made into Delta 8. They're not making the Delta 8 out of oil from the ground, as we have this connotation that that's what synthetic means. No, they're just changing one aspect of industrial hemp into another. Delta 8 is naturally occurring, but it's naturally occurring in such low doses that we can't get the benefits out of it just from pressing the flower, getting it out of the flower. So they're taking CBD and they're making Delta 8 out of it. Science is crazy. Science is crazy. It's magical.
Right.
But it is what it is, and it's very powerful. And in the right hands, it's a great thing. And so, that's it's just so unbelievable how endless these things are, all from a sustainable plant, 5 to 6 months. I feel like I do believe that there's got to be some states where you could get 2 crops a year out of it if you really wanted to. And I don't know why you wouldn't want to, whether you're growing for the fiber or the grain. I think in the South where you would go for the grain, because you're probably going to end up with shorter plants anyway. That's fine, because you kind of want to, when you're growing for the grain, in my opinion, of course they don't. They just all rode and cut off, depending. You kind of want it to be at least a little bit bushier than the normal hemp plant flower. And again, it's really just still that long stalk with the leaves and the flower head on top once it's totally mature. And there's still little sprouts coming off the stalk, but most of that stuff gets actually choked out as it's growing. And again, that's why you look at the pictures of the 24-foot record-breaking hemp stalks that are out there, and again, there's not a whole lot on the stalk as far as stems coming off, and you want that. That's when you grow for the fiber, and we've always known this. When you grow for the fiber, you grow plants closer together so that they go up, and they don't focus on producing vegetation on the sides, just on the top as they grow up. When you grow for seed, you want a little bit more space in there, I think, because you want it to kind of fluff up. You want to get, that big flower head on the top to be consumed with seed, but that doesn't mean that there's not little flower heads all over the top or around that are going to produce seed. And again, you come across the top of the plant with the combine, and you just take that seed head off, and you collect that seed, and then the stalk's still there, and you can come along, cut that along, and still get fiber out of it. So, and that stalk can be made into houses. All right. How about the Proclamation House in Perth? Now, I do believe I may have shown this possibly before, but I really just want to show it again if I have, because it's just so cool looking. And again, this is what you can do with hempcrete. All you need is a frame for the most part. Now, again, that outer part probably doesn't even need a frame or anything because it's not load bearing. But anything that you do structurally has to have a load bearing structure, and then the hemp is blown onto it. And then you can, once again, cover that up totally so you don't see that wood frame or whatever it is that you use for your load bearing frame. You just see the hempcrete. And so, it's endless once again how you can do that. And, I'm looking I'm still probably at least a year or so ago, I reported on a university that had come up with a load-bearing hempcrete, but we have seen nothing come out of that yet. So I don't know if upon further review, they figured out that they did not actually come up with a load-bearing recipe for hempcrete, or they're keeping it to themselves until the patent comes through, and then they're going to get it to all us. But if they filed for the patent, they should be offering this product to the world, because, being able to make a load-bearing hempcrete wall takes out the wood for the wood structure or whatever it is, that you may have built that load-bearing wall out of. And that's good too. And, we're still, I think, and hopefully we're working on, hopefully Hempwood down in Kentucky, if their 2x4s are load-bearing, then, man, I can't imagine how cool it would be. It'd be expensive, but it would still be super environmentally friendly to build that, that frame out of hemp wood, and then throw your hempcrete insulation, as they call it, walls up. Use hemp fiber insulation in the roof or the walls if you wanted to. I mean, you could do the same thing there. Hempwood frame, fiber insulation, hempwood walls. I mean, they do flooring panels, so I don't know why you couldn't use those as like a plywood or a wall. And they are beautiful, beautiful. So, but I really like this Proclamation House again because it just kind of shows you how you can do. It's not just having to put a flat wall or be stagnant with the look. If you're using hempcrete, you can really design it any way you want to. So, according to the USDA, the 2024 hemp crop was worth $445 million. All right, so we're up to $500 million as far as the farming industry, and apparently that was up 40% from 2023. Now, what that tells me is because we've already seen the CBD boom. The thing that started this whole thing, the CBD flower in the industrial hemp world, we saw the boom. It's on the growing of that has declined. Hopefully, what this means, and I'll do some more investigation. And I did see these numbers. And I'm pretty sure I did report on them. That means fiber growing is up. That means that grain growing is up. Because we are seeing now a slow decline in CBD. Like it was up and then it dropped dramatically because there was so much of it, and now it's kind of steadied out and it's still on its way down as far as acres grown for the flower. But the numbers for fiber and grain are going up, so that's great. Because that's where I want them to go.
Yes.
I'm not saying do it on my part. Do it for the planet. Do it for all the humans. So this is neat. This is Hemp Today's pick of the environmental impact of hemp. And I really like this because, it talks about the phytoremediation, which is the soil cleaning as it grows. It talks about all the products that we can get. It talks about the crop diversity because, once again, you're growing one crop for fiber. You might be growing one crop for grain. You might be growing one crop for flour. There are many different reasons to grow the crop. So, and the one thing that I think that they've added here that we don't talk about very often is the fact that it is a pollinator. It does support pollination. Apparently, I was talking to a Colorado hemp farmer, and he said the bees loved the hemp. And that's because, that flower, whether it's CBD or grain or fiber, it's still going to, chances are, be there. It's a male and it's a female, and so it's got pollen. That pollen has to travel. And so, I definitely think that if you're growing for seed, you may need less male plants, or, I don't know how they pollinate huge fields of fiber. I mean, I guess I need to get, with some Canadian and hemp farmers just to figure out how they pollinate the female plants, because you want a majority of those. I mean, do they plant periodically a male plant, or does a male plant go in there on every so many and which is kind of crazy, and so the male plants pollinate, or do they have pollen, and at some point when those flower heads start to develop, they pollinate, they self-pollinate or pollinate. And so, I know it's as easy as collecting that, basically a germplasm from the male plant. If you have a decently mature male plant, you just give it a shake, you will see that. I mean, it's a lot of pollen that drops out of those pollen heads. And so, as far as growing for seed, you definitely want those pollinators out there making it easy on you, transferring that pollen to the flowers to get that seed. So it does so much for so many things. House Digest article asks, is hemp insulation the way of the future? And I answer yes. And again, there is no reason why concrete companies that already use spray-in concrete with framed, if they're spraying it in, not using it as load bearing for whatever projects they do, and they don't switch over to hempcrete, that will be their mistake. Okay, the sooner they do it, the better. Again, because the resources for concrete are slowly dwindling and are only going to get more expensive every year as the supply goes down. We only have so much concrete sand left in the world. We have an endless supply of hemp, if we want it, which would replace that sand. Okay. Fiber insulation. Once again, there are companies now that are going to be blowing the hemp insulation game out because they were so early to adopt this. And we're once again seeing it more and more. I've reported, just in the last 6 months, I've reported on a house out in Alaska that used all hemp insulation. And then a building, a 3-story building in Chicago that was being renovated into a women's shelter, used all hemp insulation in there. for the health benefits and the environmental benefits, both. All right, that hemp insulation, because hemp fiber is antimicrobial, antibacterial. It's naturally clean, naturally fights off those things. Do you want that in your house? Or do you want insulation that was installed by a dude or woman that had a hazmat suit on to install it? Which option do you want? Option A, antimicrobial, antibacterial fiber insulation. Or B, highly toxic to at least the human skin, fiber insulation.
Yeah.
I don't even understand why there's a question in some people's minds. And again, we're slowly seeing the people that care about the environment and they care about their health where they live are doing this like crazy. Are all the deniers out there, are they going to be anti-hempcrete because it's environmentally friendly? Are they going to be against anti-fiber insulation from hemp because it's environmentally friendly? And it's just so ridiculous when they can't get past that to realize how friendly it is to their bodies and to their children. That's the part that should really matter. But then they'd be like, you touting all this environmentally friendly stuff. Anyway, it's going in the right direction. It's just going slowly. And the more people that know, the more people, will use and do. That's what we're here for. Spread the word, people. Spread the word. Apparently, Argentina, the entire country, is embracing hemp for construction. And I think that this could be one of the greatest quotes that I've ever heard for this particular argument. And the quote is, planting hemp is planting homes.
Wow.
Just like, it's as simple as that. Planting hemp is planting homes. Planting hemp is planting clothing. Planting hemp is planting food. Doesn't sound as exciting because, planting food should be something that we focus on. But it's all those things. But planting hemp is planting homes is the truth. From seed to wall. And now I've said that more than once. From seed to wall. From seed to ceiling. That's what it is. You can grow it out in the field and then build your house right there with it for the most part. You still got to bring in the lime mix if you're doing hempcrete. But it's just that simple. And once again, the environmental impact of concrete is huge. It's huge. So I've recently seen some more cannabinoids. And I thought this was kind of interesting because this article kind of broke things down into non-intoxicating. So you've got CBD, CBN, CBG, and CBC, which I've seen around a little bit, and we're seeing it kind of pop its head up a little bit. And CBC is kind of interesting because we all have an endocannabinoid receptor system in our brain, and it sends out the cannabinoids into the body, all throughout the body. And there's a lot of talk on the CB1 and CB2 receptors. They're the two main receptors, I believe. But now we've also found that cannabinoids go out in the endocannabinoid system under the TRPV1 and TRPA1 receptors. So, and again, I've said this so many times, our brains are wired to take these substances in and then send them out into the body where they need them. This is another reason why I think that I'm not sure that it's a bad thing or a good thing for brain development to have cannabinoids. But our brain is developing its cannabinoid receptor system. So, or we're born with it, I should say. We're finding different, cannabinoids do different things and go different places. But basically, again, the brain decides. It says, hey, am I feeling anxious? I'm going to use the CBD for that. CBN we know is kind of helps on the downside. We think, in my opinion, adding CBN to CBD is great for sleep issues. I think adding CBG to CBD is better for, say, anxiety or even pain relief because it's not on the downside. And again, there's kind of this myth, and I just was confronted with a customer on this myth, is like, if I take this, I'm not going to go out and fall asleep driving. I'm like, no. Okay, it doesn't do that. It doesn't, everybody has this ideology that because it helps with sleep, then it makes you sleepy. It doesn't. It makes your brain and your body into a place that makes getting better, deeper sleep possible. Okay? So, that's not something you have to worry about, that's for sure. Then you got moderately intoxicating. You got your D8, your D10. And I know that D10 or D8 is definitely more on the downside of things. You cannot, but if you go to my website now, I have my tinctures. I have the CBD tinctures listed actually on eBay. And so you can search eBay for the ERB Son of Ma stuff. And it's just, I only have my CBD now. But, we can get you stuff. Email me, hemptations@me.com. Let me know what kind of stuff you're looking for. I've got, we do THC tincture, we do CBD tincture, things like that. And so, and we have some of our other products on eBay as far as the hemp products, shirts and clothing and things like that too. So, well, here's the deal. There are 300 plus episodes of the High Noon Hemp Show on YouTube. If you start watching them, you will know more about hemp than any average human. Because I've been doing this research in hemp for 35 years, and I do consider myself to be a leading expert in the world on hemp. And I have reported on all of it, and there's more to come. But yeah, just dive into it, and it's endless as what you can learn about it. And then you've got your on the chart, your intoxicating, starting with D9, which is your what their baseline was. Okay, now, and I had to explain this the other day. THC and D9 are the same thing. Okay, delta hydrocannabinol, tetrahydrocannabinol. I'm sorry, that's it. Scientifically, I knew I'd get it right eventually. Scientifically, it's delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol. That's THC or D9. It's the same thing. All right, whether it's extracted from industrial hemp, because we're allowed to have that 0.3%, or it's extracted from marijuana. It's the exact same thing when you get it to its isolate form. When you have isolated that THC, it is the exact same THC. There's no difference. All right. And so you get those same benefits, and you do get those same intoxicating effects. Depending on how you ingest it, in my opinion, I think it's different. Vape is really different. It's different than smoking. Smoking's different than eating. Sublingual is different than all of them. And so, how you ingest it is also part of the how much of the intoxicating effect you get. And that's just me. That's my opinion. I don't know if science will prove that or not, but I do believe that it will. And then you've got your HHC, which is your hydrogenated cannabinoid, and again, made synthetically. And I was always under the impression that that one was supposed to be a little bit more powerful. But they say it's basically about the same. And the same as THCA. You know, you get THC, THCP, THCH, which is a new one I'm going to have to look into, and THCB, which is a new one that I'm going to have to look into. But these are all supposed to be intoxicating hemp. And this is another reason why, hemp has over 550 ingredients in it. You know, that flower bud, it comprises of alcohols, sugars, terpenes, cannabinoids, all these things. And this is why we can't really synthetically make true marijuana, because there are too many different components. It's like chocolate. We can't synthetically make chocolate because there's too many chemical compounds in chocolate to synthetically replicate significantly. You know, I'm sure we can syntheticate all of these, as we've proven with making D8 synthetically, making D10 synthetically, making HHC synthetically. These are all naturally occurring cannabinoids. Okay? So, but that's the difficulty. And yet, the things to be worked out. Like, who's testing their flower for THCB? No one. So how do we know even how much is in there and what it can do? Now, I do think that these are very small amounts, or we would know more about them. Like if there was a higher percentage of them, then we would have known about them earlier. You know, we're only learning about them now because, we are genetically breaking down every piece of the pie when it comes to that cannabis flower. We've known about CBD and THC for 100 years. Maybe not 100. But all these other components are relatively new. What they do specifically is yet to be determined. We know what they do generally altogether, but there's still a lot of different strains, as they call them, and that's because there's so many different percentages of all these things that do different things. We like this one because it does this, and we like this one because it tastes like this, and all these things. So, and those are all working beneficially for us. And we've made breeding as big as we can, and now we almost have to go backwards. As we did with the CBD flower. We went backwards. We started removing the THC from the flower and finding the cannabis that was high in CBD. And then all of a sudden, we've got these lines of high CBD, 0.3% THC flower. And that took no time as far as breeding goes. And so, and that's where everybody's at now. And again, everybody is more interested in breeding families. I'll call them families of hemp. We know we breed this with this, and we get this, and people like that, and we breed that, and then it's like, well, let's breed this with this and see what happens. What kind of buzz we get out of that, medically speaking. And so, that's why the pharmaceutical companies hate it, because they're not going to get into horticulture. But that's why it's such an easy industry. It's interesting. Where did Stoner go? Are you still around? Yeah. Oh, there he is. Okay. Sometimes I get all drawn up and I'm like, hey, I'm by myself. I'm just here on screen by myself, which is really it. I'm okay with it. I'm sure, But actually, we'll go ahead and we got. I'll show these. So it was a German article, and this German article is all in German. But I know what the word hemp is in German, which is Hanf, Hanf. And so I found these shoes. And the article, I believe, because I don't read German, was all about the best shoes for flat-pedaled bikes. And so they had all these different brands. But this one, with the Flight. So if you're in Germany and you're looking for some hemp shoes, and you maybe or maybe not ride a flat pedal bike. Apparently, these are good ones, and I like the look. I like the design. I think they're simple for the most part. And I do think that they would also make possibly a good skate shoe, only because it's got that nice toe tip, and it actually has a little extra on the heel, which is something that skaters, I mean, they blow their toes out of their shoes first. We learned that early, but they do also wear down the heels of the shoes quite quickly, depending on what kind of skating they're doing. So there you have it. If you're in Germany, get yourself a pair of flights. All right, couple events. We're getting closer and closer to some of these big ones. September 18th through the 20th, you have the Rocky Mountain Natural Building Conference in Bozeman, Montana, and there's going to be a lot of hemp voices there that I have seen already. October 3rd through the 5th is the Hemp Building Symposium at the Lower Sioux Indian Community. This is the big one. This is the one that I'm endorsing, whatever that means. And again, what it means is I know this. Okay, the Lower Sioux are already growing, processing, and building hemp. And the speakers that I'm seeing added on a weekly basis to this event are all people you want to go learn from. There are people who have been in the industry for a long time, or they are in the industry manufacturing and making hemp building materials. So, well worth it. Once again, this is in Minnesota, and I haven't looked into it yet. We're getting kind of close, so there might be some announcements soon on the giant hemp field maze that has been made probably, I would say, the last 10 years possibly. They've been doing this. And 5 for sure, because I have shown it on the show in the past. We've shown pictures of the hemp maze out there. And I don't know how far or close it is to where the symposium is going to be held, but if it's even an hour's drive, be well worth it to take that time. I can say that I believe, and I don't know, I may have driven through the lower part of it once in my life, but I don't know. Minnesota's on a short list of states that I may have never been in. And so, again, if there would be one reason or two to go, it would be this hemp building symposium and the hemp maze. And they changed the pattern. They build these beautiful, beautiful patterns. It's really neat. And the last event is October 10th through the 12th. It's called the Hemp Renaissance, Rebuilding Main Street. It's in Princeton, Illinois. So if you're in Illinois and you're interested in rebuilding Main Street using hemp, then this might be kind of interesting to go to. So. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. We sure appreciate you being here on Hemp Day to watch the High Noon Hemp Show. Remember, reduce, reuse, recycle, make everything else out of hemp. Having hemptations.
See y'all next week.